Now I know what you're thinking when you saw the title of this video. Karak, it just came out, dude. We just got it. Bear with me here. I know that it is a fantastic game, one that draws me in and will continue to do so. However, like I said in an earlier video, I actually do think Forza Horizon 5 might be in that current pinnacle moment in their setup. And I want to talk about whether you love it or hate it sometime in the future, whether it's a normal dev time or a hugely extended one. We will be looking at a sequel to Forza Horizon 5. It's got more than 1 million players now prior to the release, so you can bet Microsoft is looking at that. I've also always been interested in the development of games, the behind the scenes of repeating titles even more so, even years separated. It's fascinating, and until they add in landmines to basketball courts, most sports games that do this kind of thing don't interest me like a Forza Horizon, an open world racing game that would be on its 6th iteration at this time, and the understanding that some switches don't make sense when you look at Forza Motorsport, holding this slightly more sim location in Microsoft's stable of titles. Sure, this can be years out, but I still want to talk about it. What do you want to see? What would you want to see in a Forza Horizon 6? Let's begin with some of the weaknesses that I see in Forza Horizon 5, or just some of the things that might come up in 6. Some of the weaknesses we see in Forza Horizon 5 are just oddities in gameplay. For example, clothing that you can't sell back, taking places of cars in the spins, and other oddities like that. What we have is a game that handled the adjustments, though, from the prior titles to a new weather system by using the verticality of the locations, and it mixes in a new season system. It also removes a hugely impactful and just unfun prologue from the prior game and turns it into an open and quick starting for newcomers in Horizon 5. Now let's look at the location. Forza Horizon 6 could possibly go to Japan. It's a place that most fans would be clamoring for, and it's got an almost mythological status when it comes to places that a lot of games need to go to. It resonates with players. Prior to Mexico's locations being leaked, Japan was easily the most popular theorized location. It's a place where gamers want to explore, terracing through city blocks and high billboards and then roll out into the mountains. Japan is an almost spiritual successor to all of the open worlds prior. It is a place that everybody wants to go. It is the beginnings of a lot of the tuner and racer segments, and a lot of people just want to be able to explore that. Could we see that? I absolutely do think we could. If you look at Japan, you look at the various different places, its geography, its architecture, the street systems, and of course the later outside rural areas, that is a possibility. If there's any issues with that, I would love to know. If there's any reasons why you guys don't believe Japan would most likely be the next place, please tell me. Let's talk a little bit about tuning and why we won't see incredibly complex tuning in the next game, but why we might see some adjustments. At this time, Forza Horizon offers tuning and adjustments that some gamers want more and various itemized locations on, or at least adjustments to. I feel that Playground may feel a tiny bit trapped here. You add too much and the gamers expect a sim, as well as complexity from a game that's already a bit complex for newcomers, and they've tried to work around that with the auto tunes and buying tunes from other people or downloading them, jumping tremendously in complexity as many of the new upgrades and tuning situations would indeed cause, especially when you look at things like turbos and superchargers and really getting in there to the real nitty gritty on some of these. There's a finesse and an expertise that could be difficult. There's also some core missing elements, though, that Forza Horizon doesn't have. For example, their tuning and customization options for things like rear wings and bumpers and body kits, they do exist when it comes to the adjustments, but the actual customizations themselves and the look are surprisingly not fleshed out. Customization in the game is detailed in some sections and very basic in other sections, especially when it comes to that overall look. You have 3,000 layers of paint jobs, but Forza Horizon's overall designs basically go from the normal colors to sort of instantly complex. I'd love to see more of a middle ground here. It's something that we don't necessarily see. Of course, Forza Horizon wants to push you to engage with other gamers and look at their various different tunes as well as their various different paint jobs and vinyl work, but I do think that some existing patterns that we have are really basic, and I would like to see them flesh that out in another title. This also bleeds over to the blueprint system when it comes to customization. Forza Horizon 5 adds a huge amount of gameplay in this area, including those added challenges, basically making your own races and driving them and setting them up for others, and it just continues to build on the blueprint system. I could see Forza Horizon 6 maybe making it more elegant and offering more adjustments like environmental changes you can do to the world, but there isn't a good deal of what they can do here that we don't already see, other than, I think, making it a bit more fleshed out and obviously more subtle. Right now, when you're using the blueprint system, at times it's a little bit cumbersome, especially if you're on the console. I would like to see some adjustments there. And I think with Forza Horizon 6, those adjustments wouldn't be world shattering. They would be more about usability. The other is the story. Bear with me here. Horizon's always been based on the festival, and they consider it an important thing whether you or I do. And to be honest, by the time we got into Forza Horizon 5, it's feeling very long in the tooth. I would love to see them figure out a way to offer this more elegantly, which doesn't involve even more spreading of the Forza Horizon Festival to areas that strangely should already have it. It's a bit like an RPG where a player plays a character in a world where everyone else is struck with memory issues and can't remember where their own hometown is. This may also feed into the player customization options I've had an issue with, and those spin locations, as well as frankly just making it so that the avatar which they flash up consistently through the game doesn't look like a lifeless corpse wishing for your doom. I get that a lot of people only care about the customization of the vehicles, and I would say certainly many of us do, but that's not always just because that's all we care about. Sometimes looking at the characters, you want more, and as I've talked to other people, a lot of people feel that this customization isn't very robust, especially for the focus Playground seems to put on it. So if they're going to continue to do so, I think people would like to see a lot more going on there. And I'm not going to say lastly, but at this closing here, let's talk just a bit about vehicles. 400 plus vehicles, race cars, buggies, trucks, cars of all kinds. We're missing ATVs and motorbikes, and while I'm not saying they're going to add them, one thing to remember is Microsoft is technically the creator of some of the most innovative and early motocross games that were awesome over a decade ago in the Motocross Madness series developed by Rainbow Studios, and that IP is still owned by Microsoft. Do we see Microsoft and Playground make the decision to add motorbikes, dirt bikes, such as we see in the story races all the time? And I mean fully support them with their own improvements, changes, and modifications. We've seen this in Drive Club and of course in Gotham Street Racer. I'm not saying I like the idea, but I am saying that could be a place where Playground looks and says, you know what, it's time to do this. The advent of electric vehicles also has made some slight adjustments. Anybody who's played the game now, you've jumped into some of those electric vehicles and they can be pretty crazy. What are we going to see as we go 3, 4, 5 years in the future from Microsoft and Playground when it comes to their representation? There's a lot of different things that we could see from these different companies and how they put all of this together. And I would love to see motorbikes and ATVs if they could handle it well. I really enjoy the buggies, for instance. And to be brutally honest, some of those things are so small, they're only just a couple steps from an ATV. You could see some of these races. It would be quite enjoyable to see how Playground wanted to handle that. Lastly, track creation itself. It does feel like this is a cross-generational title. We all know that. Playground messing around with what they could, but sometimes bumping up against the hardware limitations. That's how it felt to me. Does Forza Horizon 6 offer a full land kind of editor or a racetrack editor when it comes to everything? The real adjustments, the ability to build something fully fleshed out? I don't know. But I could see something like that being at least discussed at the higher levels. I wouldn't be in love with the idea, though, to be brutally honest, especially because we do see a separation of control and finesse and ability between consoles and PC owners with mouse and keyboard. It's a series, though, that's really hit the pinnacle of its offerings. I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm saying the offerings themselves, where the return becomes disproportionate to the amount of work put into it, whether it be for the developers themselves or the gamers. We could see an increase when this goes on next-gen only. We could see it in Japan. Motorbikes, ATVs. We could see a larger rollout of the editing system and blueprints of the replay system, which admittedly, Forza Horizon does such a good job showcasing so many different car moments. It wants you to share them with others, and it has a terrible replay system and horrible camera angles. It's got a convoy system where perhaps there's more of a focus in the future on those convoys and on truly tracking them, competition between them in groups, and really blowing that up from where it is now. We're not quite sure where it's all going to go, but I have to say this. Forza Horizon 6 is coming. It for sure is. I don't think it'll be in the next 2 or 3 years, but you can bet Microsoft is looking at this success. Playground is as well, and while Playground is working on Fable, you can bet they're looking at Forza Horizon and saying, this is something people enjoy, and it is something that is highly popular and now a full, complete, stable workhorse for Microsoft. They are looking at this. So personally, I would love to know what you guys think. What locations do you guys want to see? What adjustments do you want to see? Are there cars that are particularly missing? I know we always hear that where somebody's like, they don't have the 1947 Chevrolet, blah, 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 blah. If there's a vehicle in there that is missing, I'll tell you right now, I already saw somebody say, man, they should just add in boats. No. I'm just joking. If you want them to add in boats, feel free. But at that point, I feel like the game has changed into something like the Crew. I don't really like that competition. I think the Crew is too spread out and open. And instead, what I like about Microsoft is they've chosen these particular maps and locations, and they've really solidified that one location and the feeling within it. And I would like to see them blow that up, like I said, whenever Forza Horizon 6 comes down that inevitable stretch of the raceway. So anyway, that's it for me. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you like these kind of discussion videos, also give it a thumbs up. Just give it a thumbs up no matter what. Check out the Patreon. Share the video if you can. Reddit, Twitter. Peace out.